They were more than friends, more than partners. They were brothers. But here's the truth no one talks about. Ghost and Tommy were never the same, and the moment they stepped into the streets, their story was already heading toward betrayal. Before the money, before the power, before the name Ghost meant anything, there were just two kids trying to survive. James St. Patrick and Tommy Egan didn't come from a world of choices. They came from a world where you either learned fast or you didn't last. Lessons. Every corner had a story, every block had a warning. And in that kind of life, trust is rare. But somehow, they found that trust in each other. Tommy was wild, fearless, and always ready to act. He didn't think too much about consequences. If there was a problem, he solved it head on. No hesitation, no second thoughts. That's what made him dangerous, but also loyal in a way that couldn't be broken. Ghost was different, even back then. Quiet, observing, always thinking a few steps ahead. While Tommy reacted, Ghost planned. While Tommy trusted the moment, Ghost studied it. He didn't just want to survive the streets, he wanted to understand them. At first, those differences made them stronger. They balanced each other. Tommy brought the fire, and Ghost brought control. Together, they became something powerful, something people started to notice. They started small, running errands, taking risks, doing jobs no one else wanted to do. And every time they succeeded, their confidence grew. So did their reputation. People began to see them not as kids, but as something more. But even in those early days, something was already changing. Because while Tommy was all in, heart, loyalty, everything, Ghost had already started thinking beyond it. He didn't say it out loud. He didn't show it. But deep inside, he knew this life wasn't his final destination. And that was the first difference that really mattered. Tommy believed they were building something together forever. Ghost believed this was just the beginning of something bigger. And sometimes, the most dangerous secrets are the ones you never say out loud. At first, nothing really changed. At least, not on the surface. Ghost and Tommy were still moving together, still winning, still building their name in the streets. To everyone watching, they were the perfect team. Untouchable. Unbreakable. Brothers till the end. But the truth was, something had already shifted. Ghost had started seeing the game differently. What once felt like survival now started to feel like a trap. Every deal, every risk, every close call, it made him think deeper. He began to ask himself a question Tommy never did. How long can this really last? Tommy didn't think like that. For him, this life was simple. You stay loyal, you handle problems, and you keep moving forward. The streets were his home. The chaos didn't scare him. It made him feel alive. But Ghost wanted more. He started noticing things others ignored. The way people in power moved, the way money could open doors far beyond the streets. He realized something important. Real power wasn't loud, it wasn't reckless. It was quiet, controlled, and hidden. And that's when the first secret was born. Ghost didn't tell Tommy what he was thinking. He didn't share his plans, his ideas, or his growing desire to step into a different world. Instead, he kept it to himself. He smiled, he nodded, he played his role, but inside, his mind was already somewhere else. At first, the lies were small, little things. A meeting he didn't mention, a decision he made alone, a move he planned without asking Tommy. Nothing big enough to cause a problem, but enough to slowly create distance. Tommy noticed it, but he didn't question it. Because trust like theirs doesn't break easily. Tommy believed in Ghost, no matter what. To him, Ghost wasn't just a partner, he was family. And family doesn't lie. At least that's what Tommy believed. But Ghost was already learning something different. He was learning that sometimes, to build something bigger, you have to keep things hidden. You have to make moves alone. You have to protect your vision, even from the people closest to you. And that's where the problem began. Because Tommy's loyalty was built on honesty, on always knowing where they stood. But Ghost's future was being built on silence. And the more Ghost stayed quiet, the more dangerous that silence became. Because secrets don't stay hidden forever. And when they finally come out, they don't just change things. They breeze. As time passed, the small moves turned into big results. Ghost and Tommy were no longer just kids in the streets. They were becoming a name people respected and feared. Money was flowing, connections were growing, and their position in the game was getting stronger every day. From the outside, it looked perfect. Two brothers rising together, taking control, building something real. But power doesn't just build you, it also reveals who you really are. Tommy was exactly the same at his core, loud, fearless, and direct. If someone disrespected them, he handled it immediately. If there was a threat, he removed it. No hesitation, no second guessing. For Tommy, power meant control through force, making sure nobody ever thought about crossing them. Ghost, on the other hand, was changing fast. He started moving differently, talking less, watching more. While Tommy was focused on the streets, Ghost was focused on something bigger, something smarter. He began making connections that Tommy didn't fully understand. People outside their usual world. People with influence, with money, with reach. And once again, Ghost didn't explain everything. At this level, the decisions became more serious, more risky, and instead of working side by side like before, Ghost started making calls on his own. Bigger calls, smarter calls, but also more secretive ones. Tommy began to feel it. Not all at once, but slowly. There were moments where things didn't add up. Situations where Ghost already had a plan before Tommy even knew there was a problem. Moves that felt off, like something was missing. But Tommy pushed those thoughts away because questioning Ghost felt wrong. That was his brother. But deep down, the feeling didn't go away. And then came the cracks. Small arguments at first, differences in how things should be handled. Tommy wanted action. Ghost wanted patience. Tommy wanted loyalty above everything. Ghost wanted control. They were no longer thinking the same way. And that's when trust starts to weaken. Not because of one big betrayal, but because of many small moments that don't feel right. Ghost believed he was doing the right thing. In his mind, he was protecting what they built, making smarter moves, preparing for a future beyond the streets. But what he didn't realize was that every secret decision, every hidden move, was slowly pushing Tommy away. Tommy didn't need perfect plans. He needed honesty. And the more Ghost changed, the more Tommy started to feel like he was standing next to someone he didn't fully know anymore. That's the dangerous part about growth. Not everyone grows in the same direction. And when two people who once moved as one start walking different paths, it's only a matter of time before they collide. It didn't happen all at once. There was no single moment where everything broke. No loud explosion, no clear line where brotherhood turned into distance. Instead, it happened slowly, quietly, in the spaces between words, in the looks that lasted a little too long, in the silence that started to feel different. By now, the trust between Ghost and Tommy wasn't what it used to be. They still worked together, still moved as a team, still made money, still held power, but something deeper was missing, something they both felt, but neither of them said out loud. Tommy could feel it the most, that gut feeling that something wasn't right, that Ghost wasn't telling him everything, that behind every plan, every calm decision, there was something hidden. Tommy didn't have proof, but he didn't need proof. He had instinct, and his instinct was telling him things were changing. Ghost saw it too. He saw the way Tommy looked at him now, the questions in his eyes, the doubt that wasn't there before. But instead of fixing it, instead of telling the truth, Ghost did what he had been doing from the start. He stayed quiet, because in his mind, the truth would only make things worse. The truth would create conflict, slow things down, maybe even destroy everything they had built. So he convinced himself that silence was the better choice. But silence has a cost. Every unanswered question made Tommy think more. Every hidden move made him trust less. And every moment Ghost chose not to speak pushed them further apart. They were still brothers, but now there was distance between them. And distance creates space for doubt. Doubt turns into suspicion, and suspicion turns into something much more dangerous. Because once trust is broken, even a little, everything starts to feel like a betrayal. The hardest part is, they both believed they were right. Tommy believed loyalty meant no secrets, no lies, no hidden moves. If you're family, you share everything, no matter what. Ghost believed loyalty meant protection, doing whatever it takes to secure the future, even if it means carrying the weight alone. Two different meanings of loyalty, two different paths, and now those paths were no longer running side by side. They were heading straight toward each other. And when they finally collide, it won't just be about power, or money, or the streets. It will be personal. Because the truth is, their story was never just about building an empire. It was about two brothers who slowly became strangers. And the biggest tragedy, by the time they realize what they've lost, it's already too late.